the Seventh Symphony, which is known now as the Seven Gates of Jerusalem, was commissioned by the city of Jerusalem to celebrate 3,000 years of Jerusalem, and the first performance took place in January '97 with Roland Mazel conducting, the Bavarian Radio Orchestra, Jerusalem Symphony joined together, and 3 German choirs too. In the beginning, I didn't know that I was really writing the symphony. The title came later, but I decided from the beginning that I'm going to use the texts which are connected with, of course, with Jerusalem, and some texts are probably written in Jerusalem. The Psalm of David. The Psalm of David I use also for the piece which I wrote very early in 57. So I was returning to the same text, and some fragment from Isaiah, Jeremiah, or I don't know, it's Jeremiah and Ezekiel. The piece is written for 3 choirs, the very large orchestra, extra the player, the banda, sitting in the hall, and 5 soloists, and speaking voice. It's very important that in this piece I introduce new instruments. I'm standing in front of tubaphones. It's an instrument which are the first time used. As you see the plastic pipes, and it gives me the possibility to use I'm using this as a percussion instrument, but they go very low. The percussion instrument can produce such a sound. I think this is very important because for this instrument I wrote really one movement, the scherzo of the 7 gates. Also the 7 gates, as I said, is a symphony in 7 movements. The second movement and the fourth movement is in the Passacaglia. The 5th movement is the scherzo, so has a really symphonic form. The piece is not very complicated to conduct, except of course of the big forces, and depends where they are situated. The extra, the brass, and woodwinds instruments, but of course all the tempi which I am doing are, I think, different than Mazel did. Mazel was a wonderful performance, I remember. Maybe the tempi were slower than I am doing now, but of course it's normal that the piece is growing. I conducted this piece already 10 times or more, and each time I think I'm trying to do it differently. It depends on the acoustic. In a church I did in Dresden in the Kreuzkirche, and of course this was a different performance and a much slower tempi. And here acoustic is very dry, unfortunately, and so I think it will be much shorter. Not always I can use the 3 choirs which are really, it's written in a score, because they're supposed to be separated. They're supposed to be like in Jerusalem. In the first performance, they were completely in 3 different places. And of course here there is no space for this, so I have to put it together. Um, the piece is I think the main, really the main movement is a scherzo, I think, because this piece, which has very symphonic form, I'm also using the choir, not the usual way I'm writing, but they are very rhythmical repetition of the chords, and together with those instruments, with tubaphones, I think it's a fantastic effect. It's something new, I think, which I wrote in this piece. Of course, this is the continuation of my pieces like Saint Luke, like the Te Deum, like Utrenia, the Polish Requiem. This is the, I think, logical continuation, and each piece is different, because the Saint Luke Passion was written in a time I was fascinated by sound, by looking for the unusual combination of instrumentation, and here, of course, after so many years, it's almost 35 years since I wrote the Saint Luke Passion. The harmony is less complicated. It's the polyphony I use first in the third movement, which is a cappella. This very polyphonic piece, and it's related with my a cappella pieces, especially maybe Agnus Dei or the Stabat Mater from the Saint Luke Passion. But the music has changed since so many years. I'm now writing totally different music.